Okay, this meeting is live to the public.
Okay, welcome everybody. This is the February meeting of the Tourism Advisory Board for the City of Hartford Grace. And I call the meeting to order. In lieu of doing a roll call, let me just read off who I have written down as here, and if anybody name I don't mention, let me know. I've got Bill Watson, Susan Deeney, Carol Allen, Lori, Bob, Matt Scales, Jeff Andrews, Bridget, Kathy Keene, Stephanie Giordano, and Ron Browning. There's okay. I hear nothing else, so that is who's here at this time. Okay, we sent out the meeting minutes a little late. I sent it out, but forgot to attach it, and didn't get back to it till the evening. But I did send them out yesterday, and has everybody had a chance to look at them? And do they, if so, do they have any adjustments or whatever that we like to have made to the minutes?
Jim, I just need to get my correct last name put in. I'm listed as Carol Vincenti.
Oh, you are?
Would be proud to be associated with Vincenti's, but it should be Allen.
Okay, and that's in the body of the minutes. It's wrong that way.
It's with the roll call, the list of who was present.
Okay, we'll take care of that for sure. Hearing nothing else, with that fix, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
Sure, I'll move.
Okay, and okay, all in favor, raise your hands or say aye.
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 Any opposed? Nobody. Okay, so it was passed unanimously.
Jim,
Mhm.
I know you did the roll call, but Matt, I believe this is your first meeting.
Yeah,
So
that's correct. Yep.
we may want to go around and say who we are just so that he knows and,
Okay,
and
sure.
Matt can say who he is.
And the next thing on my list was to introduce Matt to the group. So
Yeah.
we'll introduce ourselves to you first, but Matt, you go first, and then we'll do our thing.
Yeah, sure. So thanks for having me on this board. I'm super excited. Matt Scales is new executive director of Visit Hartford. I know Greg Bizzuto was a huge asset to you all, and I have huge shoes to fill. Just a little bit of background about me. I came from the Maryland Office of Tourism, promoting the whole state. So, I look at Hartford Grace as a quintessential destination. Laurie's laughing because there's a backstory there. We'll have to share that some other time. But yeah, I'm looking forward to working with you all.
Okay, thank you. So I'm not sure how to do this since we can't go around a room, and I'm not sure everybody's screen looks the same. But Bill, you're in my top corner. So do you want to?
Sure. Hi, Matt. Glad that you're with us. Happy to have you. Anything we can do to help you out, let us know. But I'm Bill Watson, and I represent the arts and culture sector as defined by ordinance for this, the Tourism Advisory Board. So that is my main focus to report on every month. I do in volunteer capacity. Also, I chair the Public Art Committee, which is housed under the umbrella of the Heavy Race Arts Collective. And so we are pretty much guiding public art implementation according to the public art plan that the city of Hartford Grace operates under. That was adopted by the city council in 2014. I'm also an artist myself, a graphic designer professionally. So that's about it for me.
Okay, Susan.
Susan Deeney, and I've been on the board for a number of years, and I'm retired. I serve at large. I'm a volunteer with the Opera House, and I'm on the Mosaic Project.
Okay, Carol Allen.
Sorry, I had to unmute. Hi, Matt, nice to meet you. I'm Carol Allen. I'm the director over at Concord Point Lighthouse, and so I'm the museum liaison to this group. Welcome.
Okay, I think you know Lori, so we'll skip over to Bob.
Bob Glassman. I'm a large member. I volunteer at the visitor center here 3 days a week.
Okay, Jeff Andrews.
Hi, nice to meet you. I am I'm representing the outdoor rec sector. I am, in addition to being a general manager at Tidewater Marina, I'm also on the board of the Haverty Grace Youth Sailing Program, Community Projects of Haverty Grace, and I don't know, a couple other things, Railroad Advisory Board, things like that.
Okay, Bridget.
Morning, Matt. It's great to see you again. I'm Bridget Johnson, the Director of Economic Development and Tourism. I will see you very soon. I look forward to working with you and very happy to have you on this board.
Okay, Kathy Keene.
Hi, Matt. Welcome. I'm Kathy Keene. I'm a former member of the Haverty Grace Historic Preservation Commission and a current member of the Haverty Grace Historic Foundation. And I'm mostly involved in the tours and trails sectors.
Okay, Stephanie at McGregors.
Hi there. I know I've met you already, but I'm Stephanie from McGregors. I'm home right now, and I live in Cecil County, so I do not get the best reception, and that's why you're not seeing me right now. But I've been with McGregors now 20 years. I just recently became co-owner. I pretty much do all the operations with McGregors. I also am on the Cecil County Events Committee, which is something new. I moved over here recently, so I'm just trying to unite, all the different counties together. And that's really it. And I also have some crazy dogs. So when I am doing my information about the restaurants, please ignore them.
And Ron Browning.
Hello, Matt. This is Ron Browning. I have been on the tourism. Well, I've been associated with the Visitor Center since its conception. Been on the tourism board. Also been on the Historic Preservation Commission. And I'm the chairman of the Historic Haverty Grace Foundation that Kathy Keene referenced. So welcome.
Okay, that's everybody we have on board with us today. So real quick, Matt, can you give us, well, all the names are written up there. I was going to ask you to name everybody, but that would be too easy. No, never mind. So we'll move on. The only other thing I have in my chairperson's report, and I'm sure you all know this, I'm preaching to the choir, there's big plans for the future of our downtown area. And what's going on now is the planning process for what will happen. And there are already a set of meetings that the community was invited to sort of give their ideas and hopes for what the plan would entail. And I think there's a set of meetings, charrettes, that can be accessed online starting today for this week, that engineering group has come up with some ideas and some thoughts on what could be done. And once again, the community is invited to be involved. And by all means, I think we all should be involved in getting our points of view across as this develops, because one of the big drivers in downtown Haverty Grace is tourism, and they need it helps the engineers if they know we know from practical experience, and it would help them if they knew what we knew. So I encourage your participation. The first one is today at, I think, 3, is it? Or I don't remember. At 1 till 3. Okay. So if you can get online for that one, I recommend it. There's also another one tomorrow, I think. And so anyway, that's all I have to say. Council person reports. David Martin is our city councilman. He is obviously not here, so we will move on from there to the tourism office report.
Okay. As far as the charrettes go, if anyone wants the link, I can forward that to you for the 1 o'clock meeting today. Just let me know. And I believe there's another one tomorrow night. There was one last night. So this is session 2, but they did say that to attend one or the other, that they would be the same from last night to today. As far as events go, the Mardi Gras Parade is March 1st. We have about 25 groups participating right now. So, so that's pretty exciting. I received our beads from New Orleans. They came in yesterday, ordered over 9,000 beads.
Wow.
So they are all here in the visitor center waiting to be distributed. So it should be a lot of fun. And typically the restaurants will have themed meals during that time. Stephanie can speak on that if that's happening or not. So we encourage people to go out afterward. As if you were on earlier, Jim asked how our segment went today. Matt organized 3 segments on live on Fox 45 this morning. They were at 7, 8, and 9. It was like 7:15, 8:15, 9:15. The first one was at the Maritime Museum for the Underground Railroad. The second one was at Washington Street Books. If you have not been in there, John has the display of the Respect costumes. That's pretty cool. He also rearranged his store so the front has a lot of Black history, like magazines and everything as soon as you walk in the store. So Matt reported from Washington Street Books, just saying, I know I'm saying Washington, but sorry, I'm from Baltimore. But Matt reported on all of Hartford County while using Washington Street Books as the background with his displays. And then the third one was at Tidings Park with Ernest Burke statue, and Kemi Murphy did that segment. So that was this morning. So we have some Harvard Grace publicity out there. The First Friday application for the May through October was approved by council. So last week I sent out the application to the vendors, and I already have about 75 applications returned. So I will go through those and try to set it up the best I can and include as many as I can for the First Fridays. Speaking of events, tourism, and we've mentioned this before, tourism is going to change a little as far as my role goes. As you all know, the mayor loves events, and we do have a lot of events at the city. So that was pretty much taking a lot of my time away. That wasn't giving me a lot of time to do tourism and marketing and stuff like that. So they have hired Bambi Johnson as a contract employee, and she will be doing any city events and overseeing pretty much all events. So taking that off my plate. First Fridays will stay in tourism because the mayor really feels that that is linked to tourism in the downtown, and we will do Holly Jolly and the parade. That's all part of First Fridays. So that will all stay in my department. Bambi will actually fall under the administration with the events. So we'll be slowly changing that over throughout the year, and she'll be doing the events. And I'm still here. I'm not going anywhere, but it'll take a lot off of my plate as far as events goes. The Pennsylvania Association, Pennsylvania Bus Association Marketplace, I think I got that right, is in March. Matt may talk on that. Typically, Visit Hartford is very nice to purchase the booth, and then I kind of go and tag on and promote Haverty Grace there. Unfortunately, I'm going to be on a cruise during that time, so I cannot attend, but Matt has graciously offered to put any pamphlets or any bus tour information out there at the table. Now, typically, Maryland Bus Association and Pennsylvania Bus Association have their 2 marketplaces a day after each other. This year, it's not happening that way. So this is the Pennsylvania one that's happening in March, and the Maryland one is going to happen in September. So I'm sure Matt and I will join forces and attend that one in September. So, and that's something I talked to Matt this morning. I'd really like to talk with the bus companies now that I am going to have a little more time and really set up some more detailed bus tours, and I'll be talking with the restaurants, with Stephanie and with Carol, with the museums, and really just to promote more bus tours and get more buses and groups of people in town. So I'm looking forward to doing that, and Matt agreed he'd like to meet with me as well. I think that's just about it on my plate, unless anyone has any questions. Okay.
Just a quick question. Would it be possible to send somebody in your stead to the bus and tour?
Well,
I could, but I think Mindy is going, and Mindy's been with Visit Hartford for a while, and she is typically who would go to the bus shows with me. So she knows Haverty Grace. She actually spent time in Haverty Grace this weekend. She went to the State Theater for their brunch, and then she went to McGregors for their murder mystery. So she does know Haverty Grace. I mean, if someone wants to drive there, I'm sure we could arrange that, but I think we're covered, and I will make sure that there's plenty of information on Haverty Grace there.
And I'll also be there as well. So Mindy will be there, but I'm also going to go just to see it. Normally I probably wouldn't go, let Mindy go, but I'll be there as well. So you'll have both Mindy and me representing there.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions for Lori? All righty, so we'll head off to the sector reports. First and foremost is Stephanie with restaurants.
Hi there. So Restaurant Week was a huge success. Valentine's Day weekend was, it was crazy. It was absolutely nuts. The weather worked in our favor for sure. We're all still kind of recovering from Valentine's Day, to be honest with you. Right now, we're working on Mardi Gras specials. I mean, that's just coming up on our radar. Restaurants are interesting because we're always like behind, 2 weeks behind. So Mardi Gras is just coming into the radar, as well as St. Patrick's Day. I had put a message out to see if any of the restaurants wanted to walk as one in the parade. I know I don't have enough manpower to just do, just McGregors, but maybe if we all combined as one. So I know so far that VFW is interested, as well as Tidewater Grill. But
Stephanie, Abby Burgers has signed up, as well as Creole de Gras.
Okay, perfect. Okay. And next we're going to be doing a St. Patrick's Day pub crawl, which we're ironing out the dates of that. We don't know if it is more beneficial to do it before St. Patrick's Day or after St. Patrick's Day. So that's just something else we're working on. And let's see, McGregors is hosting it's a meet and greet networking event. It's going to be WBEL Air, and it's a Facebook personality. He's a lot of fun. He has a really nice presence as well. He's going to be having buses from Bel Air brought to Haverty Grace, and that's going to be run by Hartford Brew Tours, and that's going to be on the 24th, so next Thursday at 5:30. We're expecting a nice turnout. Just hoping to kind of do some more activities with him. I've invited all the restaurants. This is going to not be something that's held at McGregor's every month. I've asked for it to kind of move to different locations, just so that everyone can get a feel of, what everyone else is like. We're hoping to kind of bridge Bel Air and Haverty Grace together, because we're very similar more than we know. So that's just kind of something else I'm working on. Coakley's celebrated their 25th anniversary. That's huge. And that's really all that I have right now. I'm sorry, guys. I'm still getting back together from this weekend. It's been nuts.
No worries. Thank you, Stephanie.
Hey, Stephanie, I have a question real quick. I just wonder, how are things going with supply chain issues with for the restaurants and also the employment situation? I know you're challenged in both of those areas.
Employment, not so much for us. The supply issues, I mean, that's been going on forever. It's kind of like we just roll with it. We're kind of used to it. You know what I mean? You just have to constantly change the menu. And that's what we've been doing. And you can't complain about it anymore, because it's not fixing it. So all you can do is keep adapting every week. But yeah, it's still there. Chicken wings are still ridiculously expensive, but unfortunately it's the hand that I'm dealt. So we just kind of make modifications. So you're going to see a lot of changes on menus. Things are going to be shifting around, but it's still, it's the same. It hasn't, nothing is changing. As far as employment goes, I've lucked out. I really have. And I know that a lot of people are struggling. I just got a message from another restaurant asking if I could give them just one person for the weekend so they can open. So it is out there. I know that it is. It's just, we've been fortunate to not have that knock on everything wooden in my home right now. But yeah, but that's a good question. We're still suffering, but I think we're not talking about it as much because it's not changing it.
Stephanie, two things. One, you didn't mention your new chef, Mark Laubner. The new chef at McGregors, who was the chef at Aquatica, if anyone remembers Aquatica from Route 40. I have eaten there and it is amazing. So definitely check out Mark's menu. The other is a question Matt has on the catch and cook, I believe you called it. So if you want to pick up that from.
Yeah, there's a hook and cook experience that you have here in Hartford County. And so fishermen go and they catch a fish. Let's say they catch a snakehead. They can bring it into a restaurant and the restaurant will fillet it and cook it right there. I think Fish and Hunt Maryland actually filmed up here in Havre de Grace and at McGregors, Stephanie, to kind of showcase that program. You guys do have that that hook and cook program, right?
No. So actually that was done like for a private company when we did that video. You're really not allowed to do that.
Oh, really?
No, I talked to someone else about it because they wanted to do another video. And I was like, that was just something we did privately for somebody. Generally, you have to get it from a supplier. I'm not allowed to do that.
Interesting.
I wanted it. It sounded really cool, right?
Because yeah, I know when I was with the state, we advertised the hook and cook experience. I think we all often refer to Havre de Grace and McGregor specifically. I think there was a place in Calvert County that does it at forgot the name of that resort down there in Calvert County. But so I guess if it's not the case, we need to make sure we are clear about that, because I think we actually put that in a recent ad. And I don't know if any other restaurants do that up in here in Hartford County or in Havre de Grace, but that's maybe something that we can look into.
Yeah, well, it's a health department issue. You can't do that. That's all. I wish that I could. I asked, and they were like, no, that's not something you could do. We did it just for like a private video for someone, and then somehow it kind of spread that's how we, but that's not something we can do, unfortunately. I love the idea. I called and they said, no.
By the way, snakehead sounds terrible, but it's an excellent fish.
Snakehead's delicious.
It is.
It is. It's very, very, very good.
And then I just had a question too, another question. Well, not a question, but you mentioned staffing is good for you, Stephanie, but Laurie or Stephanie, if you know of any other restaurants that are having staffing issues, if you could please let me know. I'm meeting with the Susquehanna Workforce Network this Friday, as well as the Department of Labor, because I'd really like to do something to ramp up the staffing. We are getting some, I don't know, the EDA grants, which I'm sure some of you have heard about, that we can put towards some of the workforce. I'm thinking about using some of those funds when we get them to do something to ramp up, like Visit Baltimore has ramped up getting folks in the hospitality industry for for a career. So I'm looking to do something similar from the Visit Hartford aspect too. So if you know of any restaurants that are having a hard time, if you could let me know, just so I have a general idea.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like I said, while I was on while I'm on this meeting right now, I just received a message. So absolutely, I'll get a list together and send that over to you. That would be awesome.
Okay, thanks, Stephanie.
You're welcome.
And next up is retail sector, which is Jolene Forrester, who's not on the call. So we'll move on through. Does anybody have anything they'd like to say about retail sector while we're here? No, I don't hear things. So next we'll move to museums with Carol Allen.
Hi, thanks. So just an update for Matt, who may not have heard about this initiative, the others already have. All of the museums within Havre de Grace, and even reaching over to include Hosanna School Museum, have formed an association called the Greater Havre de Grace Museum Association. And since about July, we've been meeting every other month and just sort of exploring, what ways can we be stronger together, working together as a group. So we are in the process of developing a trifold brochure that's been delayed a little bit because the number of members keeps changing. And so we at first were planning to just publish with the count that we had in July, and now we're doing a redesign, and now there's another new one coming. But at some point, we're going to have to say, okay, this is this year's brochure, and then we'll add more the following year. But we're still hoping to have that available within a few weeks. We are going public though. We have a Facebook page now that links to the various different websites for the museums. And we're putting a quarterly ad in the Opera House program. So we'll begin to have some visibility. We met earlier this month, about 2 weeks ago, and we began work on a mission statement. We've got a pretty good initial draft, and we're just kind of tweaking it a little bit because we're a very diverse group, and it's sort of hard to think about how do we describe inclusively, what it is that our museums collectively have to offer. So we're working on the wording to get it as best it can be, and then we'll go public with that. I have a couple of reports just from 2 of the museums. I'll report for Friends of Concord Point Lighthouse that we're recruiting for a part-time coordinator for volunteers and events. If you know anyone who's looking for a position in a museum, please send them my way. And we're having our annual fundraiser on March 10th. It's a St. Patty's Day event. And I want to say a big thank you to quite a few of the downtown merchants have been donating items for our silent auction and raffle. And thank you to the Visitor Center for helping with our ticket sales. Much appreciated. Maritime sent me an update. They're gearing up to run a lecture series this spring, but they don't have all the dates quite pinned down yet. Later this month, they're doing an online boating safety course. Last week, they held a reception for a photography exhibition called Beauty Worth Preserving, which is in their environmental center. And then they're going to be they're envisioning that that'll be an ongoing changing thing to have an exhibit in place that is around for a few months and then switch it out for a new one. They hired a new manager for their environmental center and a new receptionist. Ron, do you have anything you want to add as a member of the Museum Association?
No, not at all. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions?
I saw that they're working on the Paranormal Museum across from, on the corner of Washington and Pennington. Do you have any news on that?
We don't have any news, but we're reaching out to have the person heading that initiative up join us for our April meeting. So they're on our radar, and one of our current members is very involved with the project, but he wasn't able to make it to the February lunch. So we'll know more in April and probably before then.
Any other questions for Carol?
I did have a quick question. Carol, did you say the Maritime Museum recently hired a new manager for the environmental system? I remember, I didn't realize the other person was gone, the gentleman that had the position.
Yes, but unfortunately in the report that that Juliet sent me, she didn't give me the name.
Okay, no worries.
It was just an email that I got.
Okay.
So.
And they have a new receptionist as well?
A new receptionist as well.
Okay. And for your meetings, the Greater Havre de Grace Museum Association meetings, are they monthly?
We're meeting every other month right now at lunchtime. I think Ron, are we hitting like the second Tuesday of the month? Is that more or less our pattern?
Yeah, I think it is. And then we meet at different museums or different host places.
Right. We were hosted by Pat Cole at the Colored School Museum last month, and she gave us a wonderful tour. And the previous one we met at the Decoy.
Okay. Maybe one meeting, whenever you're comfortable or your group is comfortable, you could invite me or Lori. One of the things that we're trying to do, and I think your association is trying to do the same thing, is keep up to date on all of the different activities that are taking place within the museums. Maybe we can assist some type of way in marketing them as well. And then we're talking about bringing bus tours back to the city of Havertide Grace. So we need some form of communication, just knowing what's going on at each place, and we can help market that with the bus tours. Does that make sense?
Great. I'll take that back to the group. We did have a couple of added people 2 meetings back. And in fact, Matt, your predecessor attended that meeting. And then we've kind of wanted to take a couple of meetings to just sort of like get ourselves in order, work on a mission statement, some things like that. But we do envision regularly reaching out to folks like you and Lori and Matt, you also. So we'll kind of aim for a mix of some meetings were like a work session, some meetings more of like an information gathering and disseminating session. But I'll definitely take that message, and I think it's a great idea.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, thank you, Carol.
You're welcome.
Next group is Public Art and the Arts Commission. Bill.
Hello, everyone, and glad to be back. I was in Florida, gallivanting around for like 3 weeks.
You're really glad to be back?
Well, I'll tell you what, just a word of advice. If you're going to visit Florida, wait till February. I had 2 days over 70 degrees, okay?
It was cold.
The Arctic cold, it went south. Anyway, okay, well, you saw my report, I think, that I submitted for the last meeting. I did touch on a few things. The Birds of the Chesapeake sculpture installation, which is down the pier by the lighthouse, has been completed. Joe Stebbing came by and installed the final 4 birds. And we are in the process now of acquiring identification plaques for each bird, and also a general ID plaque that can be placed at the entrance to the installation. So Joe did a wonderful job on that. And we will have a formal dedication of the entire installation in the spring. And that we don't know exactly what date that's going to be. We might try to coordinate it with another event, or it could be a standalone. And also we'll get the information on the installation with photographs that can be placed on the, I know the county tours, the Visit Hartford site, I know keeps a catalog of all the public art, and also the city of Havertide Grace. So we'll get all that information to those entities. Let's see, I did last night, I did participate in the charrette with the tool design, and pretty much went over from a public art standpoint to please keep in mind to use some type of creativity when they're going in their planning process, meaning we just don't want to see things be boring. We want to see some creativity put into effect, especially in the pedestrian walkways, planning areas, sitting areas, that type of thing. Impressed upon them the need to have little vignettes for performers during our events downtown. I think they're aware of a lot of that already, which I was glad to hear. However, I was also, and they're in the early stages, of course. They're just trying to produce a canvas more or less now at this point in time. But besides sculpture and murals, which we see all the time, I was trying to impress upon them to use a creative lighting and embedding public art into the walkways, like poetry walks, that type of thing. And lighting as well. So there's a lot of. I just want to impress upon them what we'd like to see as far as use some creativity in the built environment. I mean, even like the bus stops they talk about for the electric trolleys, those can be constructed creatively. It can be like a form of public art as well. So I was glad to hear that they were very much aware of that. They were on board with that, those type of concepts, and they did put out sort of an invite for somebody from our team to join them when a little further down the road, when that comes into play. So I was glad to hear that too, that invite was extended. Let's see. As you know, maybe some of you are aware that the director of the Arts by the Bay Gallery, Pat Fair, she was ill for a while, and I'm glad to see she's on the mend. So if you get a chance to wish Pat Fair, wish her well when you see her. Right now, the exhibit that's at the Arts by the Bay Gallery is we have a featured artist during each of the 5 shows during the year, and this for this show, it's high school student art. And the Havre Grace High School students have an exhibit in the special area set aside. And I'm happy to say that they've even sold, half a dozen works already out of that. So we really try to encourage young artists to participate, and it's a good venue for them to show their works. The second half of this exhibit will be C. Milton Wright artists. So I'm going to try to reach out to the different high schools in the county. What else am I going to say here? Of course, as far as events, art-related events, I would just urge everybody to go to the HavreGraceArtsCollective.org and the State Theater websites to see what they have on a program. Also, Havre Grace, of course, does a great job on Laura's site of promoting events. So I won't have to go into any detail on those. Oh, yes, one other thing. The sculpture trail, I mentioned that in the report. We obtained a mini grant from Lower Susquehanna Heritage Greenway to begin the planning process for a sculpture trail that will go throughout town. And that's like maybe 20 to 25 pedestals that will be designed and placed at various locations from North Park all the way down to Tidings Park. And of course, we already have some existing sculpture already with Ernest Burke and Big Fish Schoolfish and now the birds of the Chesapeake. And we're trying to just run concurrently with the Greenway Trail through the city. And it's a program where we'll have some permanent sculpture on pedestals and some will be just changed out from time to time. And more details on that will be forthcoming, but as part of the planning process, we will have public charrettes and this coming summer, I believe, where stakeholders, especially where those pedestals will be located, we get some ideas where they'd like to see them placed. And we'll talk about the program, the details of the program, and get some input from the public as well on the program itself. So you'll be seeing more about that in the coming months. That's about it. Anybody have any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Move on to the outdoor recreation, Jeff.
Okay, as we get closer to spring, people are starting to come back out to do more things. We're actually booking transient cruises right now. That's a big thing I'd like to report to this group. So far, I think I've got about a half a dozen cruises over the course of the summer. And they're not just coming in May or June. I've got people that are booking cruises even in September. So that's generally a group of a half a dozen boats or more, sometimes up to 20 that are coming in. So that's happening. People are doing that. A sailing, youth sailing update. That program is going strong, and really this is the time of year we get busy with that. We already have 84 kids signed up for this summer's program. We do 6 to 8 weeks, depending on how the calendar works out every summer. And at this point, we've got 84 kids signed up for camp this summer. They're also in another step of growing the program. This year, we are offering or hosting a U.S. Sailing Level 1 instructor course, which is that's the class that everyone needs to take that ever wants to go teach sailing. And it's generally it's typically heavy with college age kids that are looking for something to do in the summer besides go work at a restaurant or something like that. And we're actually hosting it here in Havre Grace, which will help us get instructors for the program, which is that's really one of the toughest things that we have, is trying to find people to fill those roles as instructors. But Rick McGregor handles that for us and does a great job at doing that. And that's all I've got right now.
Questions for Jeff? Okay, I'd want to bring up one. Oh, did you have something, Kathy?
Yeah, Jeff, this is just for me personally. Do you, Are most of the I looked on your Facebook page for the youth sailing, and it seems like they're mostly younger kids. Do you have any like 15-year-olds that go? Because I'm thinking about it for my grandson.
There are a few of those that are in there. It tends to be, we find that we start kids younger and they tend to come back every year. So the population in general is getting older. I'll tell you that if you call that phone line on there, you'll get a hold of Gordon Black, who handles all that for us, and
Okay.
he can give you lock, stock, and barrel as to what the demographics are about that specifically. Even within certain weeks, we're expanding. We have expanded the program. We started last year with a performance sailing program, so we're giving something for older kids that are coming back. Something new for them and something that's a little bit more challenging in racing and things like that. So we're looking for that for those older kids, definitely.
And is Gordon Black's number, where is it?
It's on that Facebook page. I don't.
Oh, okay, that's all right. I can look at it.
There's a 443 number that we have for Haverty Grace Youth Sailing. And
Okay.
Gordon's the one who fields the calls for that. You might end up with a voicemail and he'll call you back.
Okay, thank you, Jeff.
Mhm.
And I'd just like to bring up something interesting. Thank you, Jeff, for your report on the sailing and all. One other aspect of recreation that is got a tourism wing to it is now that the city has the gymnasiums, the recreation committee is using them for various activities. And one of the activities that occasionally happen is that, like for instance, something's coming up with our wrestling program is having a meet. And it's right here in Haverty Grace, and they'll be bringing people in from multiple counties in the state of Maryland and also from Delaware and Pennsylvania. And actually, it brings people into town. They have to eat somewhere, so they eat here in town. Whether they stay here is another question at this point. But it's kind of a new feather in the cap there, having that sports facility available, because there's other sports as well, basketball and all that do occasionally have like tournaments and things that bring people in from out of town. So I just thought I'd bring that up so you all knew that that's going on right now too, and it's kind of a positive.
And
So-
if that's anything, those type of programs then develop anything like what I've seen personally with lacrosse, but also with soccer is a lot of it. Boy, they get to be big events, and people do come in, they do stay, and they got to eat somewhere. So they do. It does bring people into town. I'm amazed at the states that I've seen people from when I've been officiating lacrosse, just in at Cedar Lane here in Hartford County, or at the sod farm too up in Aldino.
Yeah, it's I don't think anything quite that elaborate is going to happen here, but yeah, it's a whole other business that's really growing. And in Hartford County, we have a lot of facilities for that, including like Ripken baseball and all. So
They do a lot of traveling though for those things.
right. So okay, moving on to the next sector, tours. Ron.
Yeah, we do have I'm working on a tour with Girl Scouts in April, so we'll see if that gels. But otherwise, nothing else to report.
Anybody have anything else they'd like to add? Alrighty. Chamber of Commerce, Diane Jones, she's not here. She sent me an email yesterday saying she was busy with other things and she's hopeful of attending one of our meetings sometime. So that one will move on. Lodging, that's me. I can report that, of course, last weekend was pretty much Valentine's Day weekend, and the bed and breakfast in town were very busy. And that's the last real busy weekend that'll come till the weather starts to warm or Easter gets here, whichever comes first. So weekends are still good, but the weekdays get kind of slow. So anyway, that's all I can really have to report. If anybody else has anything else they'd like to add?
Jim, I wanted to add real quick. The conversation that we were just having about the gymnasium and auditorium, I don't know if this group, did you receive a copy of the feasibility study, the finished study by the consultants that were hired to review the auditorium and gymnasium? Okay, I will have Tammy email. Well, it's the report is 146 pages long. So we'll send you an email and put the link in the email, and then you can go and review it. The city will take some recommendations from the report, and some of the recommendations they will not. But you're really on to something when we were discussing the use of the auditorium and possibly having other recreational type activities there. And then again, we can add that into all of our marketing efforts for the city. Jeff, I'm going to see you in next week, and I would like to, you don't have to do that now, give me a little bit more information on the transient cruises. And I had a couple of questions about your youth sailing program as well, and that can be discussed on the side. And for Bill Watson, the sculpture trails, please keep us in the loop. That is good information. Did not know about it. Anything that we can do or help, or even in terms of getting stakeholders to the meetings. I mean, I know you know everybody, but if there's a group or an organization that we may not have thought of, and for something like this, because I did not know that you received a grant as well for that project, and we received another grant in this office for tourism. So we're writing like to the LSHG and for MHAA, so we can all just and I can help with that, be on the accord, so we're consistently asking for the same type of funding, and or where we can help each other by leveraging our dollars. But I'm really looking forward to that sculpture trail project. So that's all I have for everyone.
Thank you. Next up is Visit Hartford County's report with Matt, who is not in his picture right now. So maybe we'll do a little tap dance over to old business. Do we have any old business anybody wants to bring up? Or Matt, you're back. Hi, Matt. It's your turn.
Sorry. I heard it. I had WGZ calling me, and I was like, "Sorry, I got to give my update. Sorry, I'll call you later." So sorry about that. Yeah. So as Stephanie kind of highlighted, Restaurant Week was great. A lot of great feedback from restaurants. I think one thing, a recipe, no pun intended, that really helped this year was that we didn't set restaurants to a certain price point. $30 for lunch, or $40 for dinner, especially with inflation costs going, everything else, and staffing issues. I think, we just said, hey, if you want to be part of Restaurant Week, just, we'll include you, just say yes, and we'll include you in our marketing efforts and marketing materials. And I think everyone was really pleased, and it worked out well. So really glad Restaurant Week went off well. I did want to mention to you, Bill, about the Birds of the Chesapeake sculpture. You were saying, possibly a date to kind of kick that off in the spring. There's what's the date I was looking at? The last Saturday in April is National Go Birding Day. So again, kind of a nice tie-in. So maybe that's something to look at for a date. Just trying to see a date that works.
I'm sorry, Matt. What's that exact date again?
It's the last Saturday in April, so that would be the 30th of April. So that's about Restaurant Week. So Visit Hartford will be coinciding with Cecil County Tourism, as well, it looks like Stephanie's not on now because she's a part of Cecil County events now, but we're joining forces with them. Not this weekend, the following weekend will be at the Travel and Adventure Show in DC. So Laurie, if you have any materials you'd like me to put out on the table, be happy to. I can get them from you this Friday when I come up there to meet with you in MPS. So that'll be a good show. It'll be in DC for the weekend. Speaking of shows, last Monday I was at the Great American Outdoor Show in Harrisburg, really pushing our fishing. So a lot of great folks that are eager to get out and hunt and fish. And I don't think we have too much public hunting land, but we definitely have the fishing opportunities here. So really push that forward. And then also we just launched to a new page on our website, African American Heritage and History. That's a new subhead. So some of the like Ernest Burke statue and some other things are on that page as well to really inspire some of that travel. So I'm really trying to make sure, Hartford is open for all and exploring all our diversity and everything else. May is Asian Pacific Heritage Month. So, what can we do there? So, only a month in, I got a lot of ideas, but that's all I got now to report. So thank you.
Thank you, Matt. We look forward to working with you. Okay, moving on then to old business. Do we have any old business that anybody wants to discuss? I don't recall anything. Okay, then tourism ideas, new business, anything, any thoughts? I guess first question maybe is, does anybody know when the trolley is actually going to start making its rounds? Nobody seems to. So, okay.
Yeah, I don't have an exact date, but we just heard it's the spring because they are not warm or cold weather vehicles.
Ah, okay.
There's no doors or windows, so.
Okay. So that being said, then, does anybody have anything at all they'd like to bring up? All quiet. Okay. Go ahead.
I had a good time at the Winter Celtic Festival. We haven't talked about that a bit, but it seemed like everything went pretty well considering the weather and how horribly cold it was. But I think it was a really great attempt to, bring something in during the winter. And I went to the State Theater for a performance, and I ushered at the Opera House, and we had good performances.
Was it a good turnout?
The ones that I went to were great turnout. Yeah.
Okay.
I felt bad for the pop-up stores because they were scattered through the town, and I think a little hard to find.
Okay.
That's it.
All right, thanks. Anything else?
The stores were really cool. They were scattered through, but I agree, Susan, if they were all together, they may have gotten more traction. Yeah. And I think the games, there was good intention there, but it was just so cold out. I don't think they had a lot of participants. I know Perry is the organizer, and she's very, very much wants to keep it for Burns Night in January, but I just feel like that would be such a cool festival in a little warmer weather. Maybe St. Patrick's Day, something like that, but she organizes that, so that's her.
Yeah.
I know that's a problem at the Ice Festival. There's always the children's parade, and when it's cold, it's tough to ask children to be out there in costumes marching down the street. So I understand. I think that limits the turnout for the children's parades at the Ice Festival too. But part of the idea is to do things in the winter when there's not much other reason to come to town, and it does bring people into town. So there's two ways to look at it. So we have to bite our lip and face the cold weather a little bit anyway. So anything else?
For Jeff. Yeah, I got a question for Jeff. Now that the city has torn up the boat ramp at Gene Roberts Park and the city yacht basement ramp's been closed, I had somebody ask me where they can launch a boat. Can they come to the Tidewater to launch a boat to go fishing?
Yeah, we have a sign up saying that our ramp is closed just because we don't have room to put the trailers right now because we got all the boats for winter storage. It will reopen in the spring. But we just don't have room to put the trailers and the vehicles right now is our problem through the winter.
Yeah, I sent them up Rock Run. I told them that's probably the closest boat ramp.
It is I'll tell you, the dredging at the park has got to wrap up sometime soon because the dates for that are legislated. And February 15th is actually the cutoff. You're not supposed to dredge after that. They probably got an extension that'll give them another couple weeks to do it. But they should be opening that ramp up down at the park pretty soon, I would think, because it looks like they're nearly done down at the park with the dredging
They
operation.
got 2 more piers to go yet, so.
Yeah, yesterday morning, they were on Pier 5, so they're getting near the end.
Okay, thanks, Jeff.
Yep.
Thanks for answering.
Yep,
Thank you so much.
you're welcome.
Awesome.
Okay. Anybody else have anything they'd like to bring up or? Okay, well, I entertain a motion to adjourn then. You all don't want to
Make a
adjourn?
motion to
Sure, I
adjourn.
will. I
I
second.
second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Our next meeting will be on March 16th at 10 a.m. at City Hall in person.
Person.
Okay? So look forward to seeing you there.
All right.
Okay.